Hello and welcome to Down to Earth. Today we're in what's known as the silk district of Bihar, Bhagalpur. Silk that's created from silkworm farms in nearby regions of Jharkhand and Orissa is brought down to Bhagalpur to be woven into yards of beautiful fabric. Someone who's trying to preserve this rich handloom culture is Kshitish Pandya of Eco Tussar Silk. Villages along the eastern belt of India, whether it be Jharkhand, Orissa or Bihar, are known for silkworm rearing. Pradhan, a volunteer organization, has been helping these villages evolve a more foolproof method over time. Sukhu is a professional rearer. His small forest is home to thousands of worms, all busy munching on leaves. The worms can rip a tree bare in as much as a couple of days, and they are then gently moved to the next tree. Sukhu also protects them from birds, wasps and other insects, and of course from diseases. Within the first 8 to 10 days, the worms can spin 1.5 kilometers of silk in a cocoon around them. When the cocoon is finally harvested about a month later, it's sold to a greenage in the village which uses the seeds to rear the next cycle. The silk is then woven into yarn by the village women. In this way, employment is created for over 8,000 families in the village and has brought them out of poverty. Kshitish Pandya was approached by Pradhan to complete a crucial part of this ecosystem, to create a market for the yarn. He formed a company called Eco Tussar Silk, shares in which are also held by a collective of women weavers. Compelled by the emotive appeal of the project, Kshitish has put a lot of grit and hard work into creating a buzz around Tussar silk. Today he has clients like Fab India, High Design, Nalli's, and exports to the likes of Pottery Barn and the White Company in the UK, just to name a few.
It's a whole ecosystem. Handlooms can use handmade yarn because the way you make fabric, it's possible to use very low twist handmade yarn.
Right.
You can't use this yarn on a high speed loom, modern loom. So if you use handloom for weaving, you have an opportunity to use handloom yarn, handmade yarn,
right,
which creates work for another poor person. So this is the whole ecosystem which has developed over centuries. So every weaving cluster in the country would have yarn makers in its catchment area. And the raw material also gets produced in the catchment area. It used to be a self-contained kind of thing. Now, of course, the world is a more integrated place. What we saw that though the original brief was that we needed to create a market for the yarn being made by women in the village, we saw that by sticking to hand weaving, we are not only creating market for that yarn, but as our volumes are going up, we are creating market for other people outside the project area who make handmade yarn,
right,
and earn a living out of it.
Right.
And the hand making of yarn is such a rudimentary, low-tech thing. It can be done anywhere, even in the remotest of village. And it affords a poor person to earn a little bit. It's not a very high-paying kind of an activity, but and it matters a lot to them that 1,000, 2,000 rupees that they are able to make it right there in the village. It makes a huge impact on their lives.
So why was it a challenge for them to find a market for the yarn originally? What was the problem?
See, we when I say we, I mean Pradhan, the NGO which started this. They thought that yarn making being a very low-tech, rudimentary exercise, it can be taught to any person. So they had this whole cadre of self-help groups of poor women in various villages. They said, why can't we teach them yarn making? Raw material is available in the local area. They can buy the raw material, convert it to yarn, and it can be sold in Bhagalpur. But when yarn started coming in, and when they started trying to market it, they realized that the market in Bhagalpur has, it's divided into two parts. One is the traditional hand-woven tussar fabric, where the weaver's wife makes the yarn at home.
Okay.
Why would the weaver buy yarn from outside, which has a conversion cost element in the price, when his wife can make it free for him? So that segment was not willing to buy our yarn. And the other segment is the larger volume segment, where the fabric goes into the export market, and where most of the designs are made through mill yarn, because for them replicating the design in uniformity is very important.
Okay.
So when we went with our yarn to them, they said, this is not, this semi-handmade kind of a thing is not what we want to use. So we were between, the cliff and
rock and a hard place.
Yeah. So one theory was, can we create a market for yarn by making it into fabric, converting it into fabric, and then fabric obviously you can sell outside.
The villagers spend about 3 months a year on sowing paddy fields. Rearing allows them to use their time to earn another source of income, especially during the monsoon. Suku has made a profit of 38,000 rupees this year itself. Usha has been working in one of the weaving centers in the village, where women come together as a community.
जो पहले जो एक टाइम खाता था कि तो एक टाइम तक नहीं मिलता था, और अभी हम लोग का मैंने देखे कि मैंने भात छोड़ देता है, थला में भी कोई खाने का मन नहीं होता है, दो तीन बार मैंने भात खाने का भी सुखी हो गया, बहुत खुश हूँ। हम तो बूढ़ा आदमी, वो लुंगी अगर यदि एक जगह मैंने इतना सा फट जाएगा ना, हटाओ वो लुंगी, जाओ जयपुर मंटू का दुकान चले जाओ, दुकान पकड़ा हुआ है वहाँ। पैंट अगर यदि इधर बच्चे जरा सा मैंने वो ककड़ में फूटो हो, नहीं ये पैंट नहीं, हम दूसरा पैंट चाहिए, गंजी एक गंजी नहीं, 2-3 गंजी। मैंने अभी तो मैंने जितना आमदनी है उतना भी खर्च।
ये रोजगार बहुत अच्छा है, समय समय पर पैसा मिलता है और छाया में बैठ के काम करते हैं। स्टैंडर्ड के साथ खाना वाना खा के 9 बजे जाते हैं, फिर 12-1 बजे घर आते हैं, फिर जाते हैं, फिर 4 बजे आते हैं। इसी तरह से दुकानदार हम लोगों को सौदा नहीं देते थे, बोलते थे अरे ये सबको पैसा कहाँ मिलेगा, सबको पैसा नहीं है, ले लेगा और नहीं देगा, बेईमानी कर लेगा। अभी जो है दुकानदार बोल रहे हैं कि जितना सौदा लेना है ले लीजिए, और बच्चा सबको भी हम लोग, कोई बच्चा क्रेश में देते हैं उसको भी मेंटेनेंस करते हैं, कोई बच्चा है उसको बाहर में भी पढ़ाने के लिए कोशिश करते हैं, और अपना पूंजी है तो अपना हिम्मत है कि मेरे पास पैसा है।
Pradhan also offered you an opportunity to make your own business. What was the vision at that time? Because they're an NGO, of course. So the idea of bringing you in as more than a consultant, what I want to understand is the idea of actually creating a social enterprise as opposed to just an NGO. How did that come about?
See, Pradhan primarily works with livelihoods. Certain livelihoods like agriculture, you just teach a new technique to the farmer and then he carries on, makes more money by utilizing the technology. There are certain other non-farm activities which need institutional building. Like, if you are doing poultry, then you need somebody to aggregate it and market it and all that. In this case also, yarn making, by virtue of the fact that one person makes very small quantity every month, in selling for an individual to sell that quantity herself, it doesn't make sense. So you need an aggregator. So they wanted to create an aggregator anyway at some point of time, but then they realized that marketing was impossible without getting into value addition. That is, getting into fabric. So first 4 years we did this inside Pradhan. I joined in 2000. The fabric business was started in 98 end. I came in when it was already in a certain stage, very basic stage. And my mandate was to build a business up, primarily to create market for the yarn. So every year we would set a target, saying that this year first year we use 100% of the yarn in fabric, our own fabric. Next year we actually set a conscious target that we have to sell 10% to the market and 90% we can use in the. So that way we were also creating competitors for ourselves. The fabric business was. And the whole idea is that at some point of time, if there is a robust market for yarn, then Khidis Pandya is not required, or the fabric business is not required. And Pradhan was very clear that getting into fabric was a means to an end. The end being a robust demand for yarn, which is where the livelihoods were in the villages.
When we come back, we visit the home of one of the local weavers in Bhagalpur and see how he's been impacted by the development around him.